Right now, beneath the surface of the American economy, something is fracturing. It's not the stock market, and it's not the dollar. It is the physical hardware of the United States. Every year, U.S. industrial companies lose an estimated $2.5 trillion to a single, preventable cause, unplanned downtime. Imagine a Tesla factory or a pharmaceutical plant in New Jersey. If one bearing in a single motor fails, the entire line stops. In 2026, that minute of silence costs $20,000. By the time a human mechanic smells the smoke, it's already too late. The money is gone. Today, I'm breaking down the autonomous asset framework. This is the secret architecture that the world's most profitable 1% are using to predict the future of their machines before they break. We aren't talking about maintenance. We are talking about the total transition from reactive to predictive intelligence. If you can master this framework, you aren't just a creator, you become a high-level systems architect in a market that is desperate for solutions. I'm going to show you how this transition is creating a $1,000 a day opportunity for those who know how to bridge the gap between heavy industry and agentic logic. Let's dive in. To understand the opportunity, you have to understand why the old American industrial way is dying. For 100 years, U.S. factories relied on calendar-based maintenance. You change the oil every 3 months. You check the belts every year. In 2026, this model is officially obsolete. Why? Because it's a guessing game. You're either replacing parts that are still perfectly good, wasting billions in capital, or you're waiting too long and letting a $50 part cause a $5 million catastrophe. The US labor market has hit a breaking point. We have a massive shortage of master technicians. The gray tsunami is real. The boomers who could hear when a machine was offbeat are retiring. They are taking 40 years of tribal knowledge with them. This creates a knowledge vacuum. When a factory in Ohio loses its head engineer, they don't just lose a person, they lose the ability to perceive their own risks. This is where the autonomous logic layer comes in. We are replacing human intuition with high-fidelity telemetry. We are moving from "I think this might break" to "the data proves this will fail" at 4:12 p.m. next Tuesday. This shift is the most significant wealth transfer in industrial history. If you want to reach that $1,000 a day target by consulting or creating high-level B2B content, you need to be able to explain the architecture. You don't need to sell a tool, you need to sell the logic stack. Layer 1, the sensor fusion layer. In 2026, a machine isn't just a piece of metal, it's a data stream. We are talking about vibration sensors, acoustic sensors that listen for micro cracks, and thermal imaging that sees heat friction long before a human can. This layer feels the world. Layer 2, the edge intelligence layer. You can't send all that data to the cloud, it's too slow. The edge means the processing happens on the machine. It's a logic gate that filters out the noise and only alerts the system when a pattern deviation occurs. This is the difference between a system that screams all day and a system that only speaks when it matters. Layer 3, the agentic analysis layer. This is the brain. This layer takes the deviation and pings it against every known failure mode in history. It doesn't just say warning. It says bearing number 4 in the secondary pump is vibrating at a frequency that suggests 88% wear. Estimated remaining life, 142 hours. Layer 4, the autonomous execution. This is where the human bottleneck is finally removed. The system doesn't wait for a manager to approve a purchase order. It checks the inventory, sees that the part is out of stock, pings a 3D printing facility or an automated warehouse, and schedules the drone delivery for the exact window when the factory was already planned to be offline. This is a self-healing supply chain. Let's talk about the money. Why is an American CEO going to pay you for this? Because in the US, operating expense is the enemy of stock price. Imagine a mid-sized food processing plant in Georgia. They run 24/7. Their profit margin is 8%. One unplanned motor burnout stops the plant for 12 hours. Cost of lost production, $240,000. Cost of emergency repair and overnight shipping, $15,000. Total loss, over $250,000 for one mistake. If you, as a systems strategist, implement a framework that prevents just 2 of those incidents a year, you have saved that company $500,000. The revenue model. In the US, performance-based consulting is the gold standard. You don't ask for $50 an hour. You ask for a 10% efficiency share. If you save them $500,000, your value-based fee is $50,000. To reach $1,000 a day, $365,000 a year, you only need 7 to 8 clients of this size. You aren't selling AI, you are selling insurance against failure. In 2026, with the US economy being as volatile as it is, certainty is the most expensive commodity on earth. This is how you build a high-ticket brand that the algorithm will push to every high-net-worth individual on YouTube. We cannot talk about 2026 without talking about digital twins. This is the pinnacle of the framework. A digital twin is a virtual clone of a physical asset that lives in a simulation. Why does this matter for your views and your revenue? Because it allows for what-if stress testing. US energy companies are using this right now to simulate what happens to the Texas power grid during a 100-year freeze. They can run 10,000 simulations in an hour to find the breaking point. This is where the content opportunity lies. Explaining these digital frontiers attracts the highest level audience: investors, engineers, and policymakers. These are the people who control the big money budgets. When you talk about digital twins, you aren't just a YouTuber, you are a visionary consultant. The 1 million views come from the awe factor of the technology. The $1,000 a day comes from the utility of the information. You are providing a technical map for the people who are currently lost in the industrial fog. If you want to own this niche and hit your goals, here is your 30-day execution plan. Week 1. Identify the bleeding sector. Don't just look at industry. Look at water treatment, cold storage, or semiconductor manufacturing. These are zero-failure zones. If they stop, the world stops. That's where the money is. Week 2. Map the logic. Understand how API orchestration works between hardware and software. You don't need to be an engineer, but you need to speak the language of data latency and pattern recognition. Week 3. Outreach and authority building. Create content that solves one specific problem. How to reduce motor failure in HVAC systems by 30%. Post this where American decision makers live, LinkedIn and specialized industry forums. Week 4. The value-based offer. Stop selling your time. Start selling risk mitigation. One successful case study in the US industrial sector will pay for your lifestyle for the next 3 years. If you want to stay ahead of the industrial decay and learn how to turn boring industries into high-profit engines, hit subscribe. We are tracking the 2026 great automation every single week. Let's go fix the machine and close some deals.